Hey, what's up, everybody? You're going to notice a thing really quick. There's nobody there. I'm not doing this one solo. It's fine. Oh, look, there he is right there. But he's in a different spot. Things are a little chaotic around here. And hey,
am I late? Did I miss anything?
Nah, no. Missed nothing.
Are we live?
We're live.
We're live. Okay. Hi, everybody.
This thing on. Hello.
See, I don't have to do that. All I have to do is hit the desk now.
Right? Oh, my gosh. That's got some...
bad. Oh, that's bad.
Is the thing made out of like aluminum? Like aluminum roofing?
It's not good. It is not
It's
good.
not. That's better than the alternative, right?
Yeah. It's so weird that my other one doesn't do that. Like I can tap on my desk upstairs normally. It doesn't. Oh, it's because the shock mount. This isn't on a shock mount.
Makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yours isn't on a shock mount either.
It's just got the built-in one here, but like this is me on the desk.
Right, but see, that's the sound coming from the desk to the mic.
Yeah.
This is going through the desk.
I'm gonna try this.
Vibrating up through the mount and everything.
This is me, like not slapping but hitting.
Can't hear it at all.
Yeah.
Can't hear it at all.
Yeah, a little different. But hey, you know what? You sound great. Look good.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Really good.
It's the sun-kissed tan that I got here,
is.
sitting outside all day yesterday at my son's semifinal championship ball game, and now we've got a whole other week of football that we weren't necessarily planning on.
Look at that. That's great
But I'm
news.
not
It's
complaining.
So exciting.
Oh, it's so exciting. So exciting. My boy, every year he has played football, this is his fourth year. He has gotten to the semifinal game. Like in NFL terms, he's gotten to the conference championship game and lost. This year he's in the Super Bowl.
He made it all the way this time.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And the team he's facing is the team that didn't want him, and he got picked up by his current team.
Dude, that's like a total 80s sports movie. That's perfect.
Yeah. So I'm pretty stoked. He's
fantastic.
amped. And so am I.
It's been a good sports year for us. My daughter, a couple weekends ago, I was telling you the same thing. In a tournament, she's doing volleyball.
Yeah.
And we're like, God, by the time they get to the semifinals, we're begging for them to lose. Because they do it all in one day. And it's like, good God, we've been here 4 hours. And they made it all the way to the finals. And they played a good game and lost in the end. But it's just, they had to have been exhausted. The team that they played in the finals got the break. They were the number 1 seed. So they got a break heading in. It made a difference.
Yeah. Nia's asking if they're talking about touch or flag. Neither. It's tackle.
Yeah, it's hardcore.
Yeah, it's tackle. They've got, man, they have so many like safety features these days for kids this age.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's a calculated risk, right? But like his helmet has sensors in it that if it gets hit too hard, they pull him from the game immediately. Mm-hmm. It immediately notifies the coach. Like to the point where, let's say he hit the helmet is in the back of the car, you open up the trunk and it falls out and hits the ground. That could trip the sensor. He cannot play until he gets cleared from a doctor.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and their helmets have helmets, right? Like they've got the whole extra thing.
The Guardian cap that's on. Yeah. Tackle that young Nia. Yeah, he's 12 years old. He started when he was 9, which again is a calculated risk. Honestly, at 9 years old, they're not hitting that hard. No. They're hitting a little harder now. Definitely hitting a little harder now.
Also, I've seen your son play. He's not the one that needs to worry about getting hit.
No. Well, I mean, I don't know, because he can, they all take it, but he's really good. He's very safe with what he does. Yeah. I mean, again, calculated risk. Exactly. Okay, we know there's a risk. He's aware there's a risk, but the safety pieces are there. So real quick, hello to everybody who is joining us out there. Our council chambers members who've decided to join us. You guys are amazing. Becky, I see Becky's out there. What's up, Becky? Cool. Fabio's in there. Nia's in there. Let's see here. Those are the only names I see. It looks like we have a few more people out there anyway. So, hey, listen, if you guys are watching, please, American football, you savages, Bob.
Yeah.
Fabio
hardcore.
Says, yes, we are. Fabio is one of our international friends.
International. I like that.
Well, I ain't trying to tell his business and where he's from. I'll let that.
You tell him the country, it's going to narrow it down. It's only like one of the 5 biggest countries in the world, I think.
Suzanne and Joey are also out there. What's up, you two? Hey, listen. fun for you guys. We're going to talk to YouTube here just for a second.
Yeah.
Welcome. If you guys are watching this here on YouTube, Jeff and I are about to record an audio podcast where we're going to be talking about the episode Each Night I Dream of Home from the spinoff, the Babylon 5 spinoff Crusade. I'm really excited to get into this one, Jeff. I hope you are too. I don't know. We'll get into this. So this should be an interesting conversation.
I think it will be.
Yeah, this should definitely be an interesting conversation. So
you made a comment in Discord this last week where I'm just like, okay, yeah, we're going to definitely have things to talk about.
Ooh, now I want to know what that comment was. So you guys hang out with us. Welcome for YouTube. If you guys are wondering what we're talking about with Council Chambers is one of the tiers of our Patreon page. You can head over to patreon.com/Babylon5First and find out more about that. But that particular tier gets invited to the live recording. So you guys are hanging out. To our Council Chambers who are here, you guys are amazing. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys so much. You really don't know just how much you guys are responsible for everything that's happening right now.
For real.
Like, honestly, if it wasn't for you guys and keeping this thing going, Jeff and I would have hit Sleeping in Light and probably been done.
Slept in some light ourselves.
We might have done a movie or two and
yeah.
be done. Which was the original plan, by the way.
Mm-hmm. It was just the 110. We're just going to do the initial
110 episodes. We could do it. Let's go.
110. We're out. That's it.
That was the plan. That we like declared that from the beginning.
Yep.
So
and here we are.
That's right. So we've got all of that going on. And if you guys are normally watching us on YouTube or our Council Chambers, you might notice that I'm in a very different space than I normally am, which I've been in new spaces a lot recently, but I've never been one for one of these shows. There's a lot of work going on in my house. So I set up this sort of temporary studio. I have a different microphone, a different boom arm, all sorts of things are different. So I say that just to say I'm also in a different part of the house than I normally am. I'm not as contained. And so it's possible there could be some noises happening that we don't normally hear when we're recording this show. If that happens, it's okay. We're just going to let it roll and we'll keep moving. So with that, Jeff, let's talk about this episode.
Let's get into it.
So what is to be gained by fighting?
Maybe nothing. Maybe a lot. I'd like to be the one to make that decision.
I want you to know that this thing just made a very large dent in my ship.
The year is 2024.
The name of the podcast, Babylon 5.
For the first time.
Welcome to Babylon 5 for the first time, not a Star Trek podcast. My name is Jeff Akin.
And I'm Brent Allen. Jeff and I are two veteran Star Trek nerds that a while ago decided to watch Babylon 5 for the very first time. And you know what? We wound up falling in love with the series so much that we decided to continue that journey with Crusade, Babylon 5 spinoff show, for the first time.
And like always, we're going to be searching for those deep, hidden messages, those sci-fi messages, the messages that science fiction can portray in a way that so many other mediums are unable to. But Brent, this is not a Star Trek podcast. And so to make sure we're focused on sci-fi messages, we're going to keep our long-running game. We're going to keep it afoot. It's called the Rule of Three. This is a game that limits us to no more than 3 references to Star Trek per episode.
That's it. 3. 1, 2, 3. No substitutions, exchanges, or refund.
And Jeff, what happens if we make one of those references?
They're going to hear this. Hey, Brent.
Hey, Jeff.
We have a 5-star review.
Oh, yes.
This one's off of an app called Good Pods.
Good Pods.
Good Pods. Cool thing about Good Pods is you can comment directly on the episode that you're listening to.
You can review the episode.
The episode itself.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I get on there from time to time. We can actually like converse in the comments and stuff. You leave a rating, you leave a thing. It's a little comment piece. It's pretty cool. And on this one, I'm going to read a review from Eowyn on our Racing the Night episode.
Hey, Eowyn?
Eowyn.
Like Lord of the Rings, Eowyn, sister of Eomer?
That is the one.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I don't know how she's got a Good Pods account, but apparently it's trans-earthal.
Well, you know, she is no mere man.
It's true. Well, what she says here, Yes, this was originally supposed to be the pilot. I'm not sure that Gideon's memory at the beginning of the episode is incompatible with the actual pilot. Time-wise, I feel like this probably happened right after Warzone. Yeah. Eowyn's a regular listener on Good Pods, has given us a number of 5-star reviews and made a lot of comments. I wanted to make sure to highlight one of them.
Eowyn, thank you so much. Also, I just want to let you know, I actually have a really good friend. He named his daughter Eowyn, so you're not the only one out there, which is really cool. But thank you for that. Cool. I totally agree with you. That his memory or his dream doesn't necessarily have to be in conflict with what we saw in Warzone. Those two really can coexist just nicely.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, Jeff, you know, along with getting to read reviews, along with our game, The Rule of Three, there is another game that we like to play. And we usually do this one at the end of the show. It's where we try to guess next week's episode based on title alone. Jeff, we only have a handful of these left, buddy.
I know.
Like 5.
Isn't that
We're
wild?
never going to be able to play this game again. So
right? Well, we're going to have a handful of movies we get to play this game for.
Oh, yeah, I guess. Okay.
Like 3 of them, I think.
Okay, so we have like 8 more of these that we'll be able to do. We'll never be able to do it again. Not for Babylon 5. Unless our good buddy JMS, you know,
finally gets off his patush and does something. Come on.
Jeff, it occurs to me, we've got our time machine. And we keep going back in time to, you know, change the course of the show. I wonder if we don't use this one to jump into the future and really help the reboot come to fruition now.
We might do that.
Yeah.
If it's possible, right? Mm-hmm. Rules of time travel are complex.
No, they're really not.
Well, it depends on how you write it. Depends on what show you're watching.
Well, speaking of time travel, while that game happens at the end of the show, you know what happens right now at this part of the show?
The other part of the game.
Yeah, this is where we get to look back on what we said last week that this week was going to be about, and we get to see how close we were. So, Jeff, how close did you get to calling what Each Night I Dream of Home was going to be about?
Just about as far away as you could possibly get. We both had shared a lot of the same prediction. This was going to be going back to Babylon 5, that going to be some homesickness going on. I did say that Lockley was going to be there, so I got that piece. But then I also thought this would have a little bounce back to Day of the Dead, and we'd get, Dreaming of Home with Zoe and all of that, which wasn't even almost close to what happened. What did you think?
Jeff, I said that I renew my prediction each week until it happens that this is the week we see Captain Lockley, and I was correct! So we did that. Also, Jeff, if I was smart, I thought to do it, and then I forgot, and then I ran out of time. If I was smart, I would have pulled this moment from my Brent Watches episode for this one. Yeah. Because what happened is I was sitting there before we saw Lockley, and I was like, man, we've got to see Lockley. We've got to see Lockley. What if it's not Lockley? Like, it could be any of the other, like, what if it was Dr. Franklin? And then Lockley appears on screen. I was like, okay, cool. It's Lockley. I didn't see a name at the bottom of the screen. I didn't see any of that stuff. And like 3 minutes later, here's Dr. Franklin on the screen too. I was like, yeah.
Maybe that's because our time machine thing does work. We went into the future and you were like, hey,
Just saying. But as far as the episode itself goes, what I said is basically people are getting homesick, and so they're going to swing by Babylon 5 for a little shore leave or taste of home. And while that's not necessarily what this episode was about, the very end of the episode, Jeff, is exactly what Gideon said that they were going to do. Swing by Babylon 5 for some shore leave.
I don't know if that was so much homesickness, though, on his part.
Oh, he was sick for something, brother.
Yes, he was.
He was definitely sick for something.
If you, though, are like so many people and you're like, what was he sick for? What is Dr. Franklin doing in Crusade? What, Lockley's a part of this thing? Because maybe you have never watched this before, or it has been 25 plus years since you
or have seen the DVD cover where Lockley is on it.
And here we are with like 5 more episodes. Hello, Captain Lockley. Wow. Hey, Brent, why don't you break this down? Tell us about Each Night I Dream of Home.
Well, the Excalibur is just hanging out in space, waiting for someone to show up. Who? They have no idea. How are they going to know when they see them? Again, they have no idea. When suddenly a Warlock-class ship pops in, drops a load, and pops out. And that load I'm sorry, Jeff. I just saw
Yeah.
And that load, a shuttle pod with 2 passengers. Regular Joe Schmo, we'll call him David Williams, and a high-ranking Earth official, Senator Texie McTexas. He gives Gideon his new orders to proceed directly to Earth. Do not stop for anything. Do not stop for anyone. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Which means now would be the perfect time for, I don't know, a distress beacon. And that distress beacon?
It's fancy, it's a fancy kind of beacon. It's a beacon.
Yes, right.
Beacon.
It's a beacon. And that distress beacon is coming from a lone Starfury, badly damaged, 1 life sign, barely. Gideon alters course, and true to his standing orders, he does not stop to help. Nope. He just has Matheson open the bay doors and literally scoops it out of space. Inside is a very familiar face. Where have I seen her before? Oh yeah, she's been in every opening credit scene of the show and is on the DVD cover. It's Captain Elizabeth Lockley. She's pretty banged up, but she's going to be okay. And now it's on to Earth. Shortly after arriving in Earth's orbit, a ship is launched and promptly blown up before it can reach the Excalibur, which is convenient considering the Excalibur would have had to destroy the ship anyway to prevent a breach in the quarantine of Earth. However, just before it exploded, a life pod was launched. On orders from Senator Tex-Mex, the quarantine zone is set up inside the Excalibur because no one there needs to catch this plague. Well, almost no one. We'll come back to that one in a minute. Inside the quarantine area in the med bay, the life pod opens and a slow camera roll panning up, and out steps another familiar face. Dr. Stephen Franklin, head of Earth's xenobiology department. Pretty soon, the nature of their mission comes to full light. The doctors down on Earth are having trouble coming up with anything as far as how to deal with this plague. What they really need is a baseline study of what the disease does once it infects a healthy body. But they can't use it on animals or anything else. It has to be done on a human. And that's where David Williams comes in. He was off-world when the plague hit, but the love of his life, his fiancée, was on Earth. So he's volunteered as tribute to be infected with the plague just so he can get back to Earth and to the woman he loves. Because after all, he'd rather live 5 years with her than a lifetime without. More to the point, who's to say how long he was going to live anyway? I mean, according to my mom, he could wake up tomorrow and a piano could fall on his head. So, might as well. Gideon isn't so comfortable with this at first, and really neither is Franklin, but they've double-checked, triple-checked with Williams, and he is indeed volunteering for this. So the mission's a go. They place David in his own separate containment room in Medbay, and then they release the virus, aka Dr. Franklin breathes. As they begin to track the virus, the ship gets rocked. The Drakh have come to take out the Excalibur. You see, they intercepted a message that David sent to his love, and now they're here to stop them from fulfilling their mission. And cue the Act 5 action sequence. There's a lot of pew, 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 some rather cheesy dramatic tension. Lockley does some fancy flying in a new Starfury, and we even get Franklin doing a full-on Geordie LaForge jump when the room gets nuked. But in the end, Gideon manages to get the Excalibur to jump away to safety by using an open jump point that one of the Drakh ships have created. And Dr. Franklin saves David just in the nick of time from being nuked in the aforementioned room. Well, to close the episode, it's a touching scene of goodbyes. Dr. Franklin and Dr. Chambers discuss the revelation that this virus is actually a nanotech virus. Gideon and Lockley, well, they make loving eyes at each other and promise one day they'll see each other again. But oddly, Franklin and Lockley don't run into one another at all. Jeff, What did you make of this episode? Each night I dream of home.
Brent, this was an incredible, absolutely amazing sci-fi concept. Like, I loved the idea in this. To know the virus, to beat the virus, you got to know the virus, right?
Okay.
But it's just so cool because it's like just that idea of we need a tribute. We need someone to sacrifice themselves, not to beat the virus, but so we can start actually studying the virus.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the things I love about sci-fi, not just the messages it gives, but those kind of quandaries. We probably talk about it in messages, but it doesn't really pose the thing. It just says this is what's happening. But there was this whole conversation that happened on Earth of we're going to intentionally give this to somebody.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, I would love that episode. Just all the mechanics and the nuance that went into that one. Lockley was in this, and she was she was Lockley, and she was great.
Yeah. She
has this natural chemistry with, she and Tracy Scoggins and Gary Cole had a great chemistry, I thought, to the point I was like, they talked in the med bay a little bit and started walking off, and she's kind of looking at him, and I was like, were they married too?
No, there's no way, because they actually had chemistry.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm like, this, like these people would be a great couple. They would make sense.
Right.
I loved Dr. Franklin. I don't think I've ever been so excited to see him before. Yeah. What was brilliant about it, and the viewing order is a thing, right? But this is one of the reasons our viewing order that we're following is perfect. Because in Memory of War, they did that tease where Gideon was watching TV, and they're like, now we're going to cut to head of xenobiology, Dr. Franklin, and then it cut to Matheson. So it's like they gave us the idea, and then we got the dude, and it was almost like he was just so Franklin, right? Mm-hmm. And I felt like in this episode, we had Elizabeth Lockley, we had Stephen Franklin, we had Captain Gideon. Like, we had just these people who were just incredible actors who knew their characters and were great. And then we had Senator Foghorn Leghorn.
I should have come up with that one.
You had some good ones. You had some really good ones. And we had that David Williams guy. It was what it reminded me of was like this incredible idea. Mm-hmm. And we don't necessarily have the cast and actors to pull this thing off. Mm. So let's bring in some big guns, right? Let's bring in some names, some people that can carry this. Back when I was working in pro wrestling, especially on the smaller indie circuit, we would bring in big names to pop the crowd, give guys a little rub. I remember I was doing TV for a small local, and they brought in Jake the Snake Roberts. And they had this great this great story idea. We would tape 4 weeks of TV at a time. So we'd show up at the place, tape 4 hours, break that up into weekly episodes. And we were going to do the DDT challenge. If you remember Jake the Snake Roberts, his big move was the DDT that used to actually finish matches back in the day. So it was going to be this ongoing thing that was going to lead up, this little kind of tournament, whatever. But the point of it was the good guy that was supposed to get over and whatever was going to get hosed by the bad guy, which would lead to Jake the Snake coming in, letting his snake go. Everybody pops. It's great. The angle was horrible. Like, the only people in the ring that could contain and handle the whole thing were Jake the Snake and, I don't know, maybe the guy holding the microphone doing the Mean Gene Okerlund thing. All the wrestlers sucked in getting it across. That was really harsh. If you're watching and you were part of that, you tried hard. It was great. But it was a cool idea for
You tried and failed.
You did, but you tried. And
the lesson here is never try.
Yeah, just don't. It's so much easier. But no, it was a cool idea. It's a good story. It didn't work. And I've seen that happen in so many wrestling organizations, bring in a big name and whatever. And I feel like that's this episode. It was such a great idea. They brought in these big names. They did a great job. And in the end, this just fell so flat. I couldn't care at all about anything. None of the stakes felt real. I didn't understand why this was important or there was any urgency to the whole thing. It just was bleh. What did you think about it?
Jeff, I couldn't disagree with you more.
Really?
on this episode.
Oh my God. How?
No. Listen, I will give you the urgency of this episode was entirely made up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, except for possibly, because I've thought about this over the course of this week, except for possibly the concept that they had to pre-program that launch from Earth and jettison a life pod and then have that thing blow up. And the Excalibur had to be there to receive that life pod. And that thing had to go off at a certain time. So Excalibur had to be there. That's the only thing I could possibly give it to make the urgency of why they couldn't stop for anyone, anything, no matter what, and had to get home. That's the only thing I can think of. Right.
Yeah.
But outside of that, the urgency was entirely made up. But Jeff, how many times have you and I watched a Babylon 5 episode and gone, the urgency here is entirely made up? There's no actual urgency other than what the character put on themselves to be. Right?
It's not uncommon across all kinds of shows. You're right.
Sure. So I didn't mind that at all. Jeff, I will tell you, this to me is probably the most Babylon 5 type episode we have seen yet in Crusade.
Really?
This felt like this could have been in Babylon 5 at any point. Not just because Lockley and Franklin were in it, but it had that same feel to me that Babylon 5 has. There's this weird thing they have to do. Franklin is doing something that's very weird and out there and potentially morally gray. There's political interference. There's a feeling that you have this bigger picture going on, but you have the nitty gritty of what's happening right in front of you. There's a captain who has to square off against his own morals and his own compass versus his standing orders. I thought this was a very, very good episode. My understanding is this is the final episode that aired before it went off the air, and this is listed typically as the final episode in most watch orders. And if this is the episode you're leaving the show on, this is a good episode, in my opinion, to leave the show on. I think it's truly fantastic. This one made me, while I was watching it, this made me say more than once, I'm so sad we're never going to see the end of this story. Yeah. Because this episode is one that would propel me through multiple bad first season episodes to get to the good stuff that really starts turning in late season 2, season 3 and beyond. I felt there were so many things that were in here that would be set up that would come back to fruition much later in the series had it been given a chance. So I personally really, really liked this episode all the way through. That being said, I will tell you, I did manage to watch this episode differently than I have really, I think, any Babylon 5 episode or any Crusade episode to this point, which is I didn't take notes while I was watching it. I was able to just watch the episode and be in it because of the situation and my recording situation right now. I couldn't take notes and do the recording at the same time. I had to make those two separate. So did that factor into it at all? Maybe, maybe not. I have no idea. But yeah, I truly, truly enjoyed this episode. And there's a lot, Jeff, to chew on. I think that this episode gives us.
I actually completely agree with you. I think you agree with me.
Of course you do, because I'm right.
No, I think you agree with me.
Ivanova, I do I?
You do.
Pray tell, my friend.
Because it's a great idea and it's a great concept and the ideas are solid. The execution just was not good. In fact, this is a thing. It made me think when you're talking about Call to Arms, and I made the comment when Dorina was introduced to the Thieves Guild. And I was like, if I was reading this in a novel, this would be such a compelling scene. This would be incredible. But here, it's like a community theater group trying to do some, just high-level Shakespearean what. That's this episode. Yeah, it's very Babylon 5. Very Babylon 5. Done by the third string, actors, and it just fell so flat. It could have been great.
But that is Babylon 5. How often did we see the third string actors come into Babylon 5?
Well, as the guest stars, absolutely. But I think even like the mainstays, like Dr. Chambers in this, I feel like she completely ruined what I think was supposed to be one of the like tentpole moments in this when like, hey, the thing didn't work. And Dr. Franklin's like, I was going to push the button for you. And now you have to do it. And she's like, okay. Like it was supposed to be this big moral quandary. And it's just like, I got it.
Well, she's let me carry this for you. You cannot carry it yourself, but I can carry you.
Yeah, exactly. Franklin, he's doing everything. And she's like, okay. I got it.
I will agree. and I made fun of it in my recap. That whole scene with the med bay going wrong and Franklin couldn't do the thing and she had to do the thing and he had to, and dude got knocked out and Franklin had to go in and do the manual open thing and he just pulled him to safety just in time and had to do the Geordie jump.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean when I say that? And and it got down to 3 seconds. I'm so glad it didn't get down to 1 because that would have just made it even cheesier. But that whole sequence was dumb. It was stupid. It was cheesy. And Jeff, I ate it all up.
God, I did not.
I ate it all up.
In fact, I feel so bad for Richard Biggs. His back must have hurt so much after filming this because he carried that entire storyline on his back single-handedly. Like he tried so. He's down there doing the manual override. He's diving through. He's intense. And everybody else is like, "Hey, hi! I'm in a show. I'm on TV. Look at me."
All right, Jeff. I want to do a sidebar real quick because you bring something up, and I just want to have this. Shouldn't take very long. You and I generally agree. The main cast of Babylon 5, top to bottom, terrific,
incredible.
Right? Peter Jurasik, Andreas Katsoulis, top of their game. Mm-hmm. Bruce Boxleitner, phenomenal. Even Michael O'Hare, given everything he was going through, I just don't know that we really got enough with him. Lockley justified her entire existence by the end of the episode to the point that when we see her in this one, she feels like an old friend and like a senior member of the crew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So.
Like she just has that feeling. But then you also, we have Mira, right? And we had even like Pat Tallman and who am I forgetting?
Claudia.
Claudia. Yeah, thank you. Claudia and Jerry. Like they were all phenomenal in their roles, and some to varying degrees. Okay, let's think about the cast of Crusade. How does the cast of Crusade compare in their roles compared to the Babylon 5 characters? I think Gary Cole's a phenomenal captain.
Gary Cole is amazing. He's got Gideon completely nailed.
Right. I think Peter Woodward, who plays Galen, he's nailing that role. Matheson, Daniel Day Kim, love this role. It's a very different character than we've seen on any other Babylon 5. He you know what Matheson is? He's Corwin if Corwin gets promoted and actually has more lines.
Absolutely. Yep.
You know what I mean?
With the little like Bluetooth thing and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I think from the standpoint of like Daniel Day Kim and his career, this is clearly early Daniel Day Kim, but all those seeds for the incredibleness that shows up later are so apparent.
I continue to think this might be my favorite Daniel Day Kim role, to be honest with you.
I love it.
He's had some good stuff. Don't get me wrong. He's had some good stuff. I really like him in this role. But who else do we got? There's the lady who plays Dorina. She's fine. She's not bad. We just haven't seen much of her to be able to judge that. Who else are we missing out of the main cast? Dr. Chambers is sorry. She has not grabbed me at all. Like, remember when we hated Dr. Franklin?
Mm-hmm. I do.
How often do we say this is not taking anything away from the performance of Richard Biggs because he's phenomenal?
Exactly.
But the
he's
character
doing exactly what he's supposed to do.
Right. Mm-hmm. Dr. Chambers is not getting that. No. Eilerson, I'm not feeling Eilerson at all.
No.
So yeah. But I still like the show. Okay.
Agreed.
Come back to this episode.
Well, I think, and with that, so to kind of move into some of the stuff of the story itself, instead of us comparing our notes as to who's right and who's wrong, with the old cast and the legacy cast, when they said Warlock class Star Destroyer, did you think we're going to see Ivanova?
No, I did not. It did not even occur to me. You said Warlock class Star Destroyer, and I was like, oh, that's a new ship. Okay, cool.
We said Star Destroyer. I think we both said it. Just it's a destroyer.
Whatever. Yeah,
wrong,
whatever.
Wrong franchise.
Whatever.
Wow.
No, it would took somebody commenting on Patreon under my deal, or maybe it was on Discord. I don't remember, but they're like, yeah, that's the warship that Ivanova left to go command. And I was like, okay, sure.
Great. Okay. Yeah, I was so hoping. I was just like, oh my God, why else bring a Warlock class destroyer on here? There's no other reason. And I agree, there was no other reason.
Because they already had the mock-up in the computer to be able to fly it in.
They're like, hey, we need one of the legacy ships. Well, I got this one. Is that okay? Yeah, put that in.
Yep.
We'll make it happen.
I got to tell you, let's talk about the Senator for a moment.
Yeah.
As soon as he opened his mouth, I knew everything about him that I needed to know.
Mm-hmm.
And I was right the whole way. From him being overbearing and over demanding and thinking that his stuff was the most important stuff and nothing else really mattered, all the way to the point where the very first chance he gets at the end of the episode to save his own neck, he scams.
He's out of there.
Like, everything about this guy we needed to know, I knew from the moment he opened his mouth.
My favorite moment was the, yeah, it's a great program. I'm glad I voted for it. Gideon's like, the hell you did.
No, you didn't. Right? We
great.
actually have that on record.
Uh-huh.
So, and I will say, yes, I fully acknowledge I'm being prejudiced about this, but I was also right in this particular case.
They played to a trope to tell us what a thing was, and it followed exactly all the way through.
Yeah.
But we did get a piece of information from him that if this were to continue as a story would be really important, and that's that 12 senators were off-world when the Drock plague happened.
Yeah. This guy would vie to be like the off-world Earth president.
Uh-huh.
Like he's going to turn into like the Senator Kinsey of this show.
Absolutely. Or he's like the proto Clark almost, because I could see him totally grabbing the
When and you know what? Kudos to the actor, whatever his name was, or kudos to JMS who wrote it into the script. When he called him the Drac.
Yeah.
Not the Drock, the Drac. I was like, oh, dude. And here's the thing. I know a lot of people that's how they'd say it. And most of them would do it on purpose. Some of them wouldn't. But
so he brought David Williams with him.
yeah. David Williams, by the way, name of my brother-in-law. What's up,
I worked with a David Williams for a long time. It was very distracting the whole time. He's a plumber, which I thought was really interesting given the number 2 story from last week.
Yeah, maybe he could have helped something.
Exactly. They're like, oh, you're a plumber? Let's put you to work really quick before we let you send a communication out to ruin everything for us. As they're coming on board, though, there's this really great interaction between Gideon and Matheson, where Gideon's like, well, do we know anything about him? And Matheson's like, what, you want me to go dig around? Because that'd be horrible and totally unethical if I went and dug around. And Gideon's like, well, I mean, if you did, he's like, well, actually, I already did for you. It was just a great...
Yeah,
their relationship's
awesome. It was written perfectly. It was acted perfectly. The timing was perfect on it. It was shot perfect. Like the way it was kind of over the shoulder for Matheson and even Gideon, like as they were kind of talking to each other. Oh, it was so good. It was so good.
They had a couple moments in this one, like when they were staring at Earth, right? And and Gideon was talking about, I don't really remember my father's face, but Earth. Matheson, Earth
that
is
was Matheson,
forever.
wasn't it?
Matheson said Earth is forever. He's like, Matheson had the wisdom. Gideon was like, I can't remember my father's face. I don't know which one. And Matheson was like, yeah, because which father are you going to look at? Is it going to be this one from this time, this time?
That's right. Yeah.
And then Gideon's like, you're too young to have such old wisdom. But I noticed the pattern in Gideon, just the great leadership that he brings. He uses a lot of very personal stories, and specifically with Matheson. Like Matheson was the one he talked about the wind. And then Matheson, he's talking about the thing with his dad. Like it's this really great mentor relationship that they have that also they can, key off each other like as equals, but also Gideon doesn't hesitate to remind him that he's above him in the hierarchy. It's a lot of fun.
What did you think of Gideon's story, back to Senator Texie McTexerson, when he said, all right, we're going to go rescue the Starfury out here. And they do the whole thing. And he turns on and goes, just for the record, Senator, I once was that person and somebody came for me. I will never, ever leave one of our folks out there, ever. Get off my back, dude. Like I loved that but I loved that he waited until after the situation was done before he said it to the senator. Like, he just blew the whole senator up. And the senator's like, you're Joint Chiefs and this and that and this and that. He's like, I'm doing it anyway. And who said anything about stopping? Like, it's just great. It's a great way to solve the whole thing. And what did you think, though? I wanted to ask. Matheson turns around and he's like, Captain, you understand what this means, right? And Gideon just looks at him and goes, well, I guess you better fly straight. You better fly carefully. Go. He doesn't try to take it over. He doesn't try to do it himself. He lets Matheson do the thing and just says, go. And yeah, it's hard. Like he acknowledged, yeah, it's going to be hard, but you better go get it.
And you got it.
Otherwise, that person's done. What'd you think of that Mr. Leadership Guru?
That was amazing. That was great.
Yeah.
I know you can do it. I see you can do it. I'm going to tell you you can do it. Like the whole sequence was great. From the minute he's like, "But you can't stop. You can't stop." Oh, I think about stopping. The technology that they use, they had to kind of slow things down and bring it through. I thought that was really brilliant. Like bringing you through different phasing of force fields or whatever. Matheson being able to do it, and then like you said, that whole point at the end when he put the cap on it, and he's like, "I will never not help one of our own." That mirrored, though, for me, back a couple episodes ago when Darina and Gideon were on the planet looking for Braytak, and she stopped and went and freed the slaves, and Gideon was all over her for that.
Yeah.
But then later on, she's like, "I was answering the prayer that I made way back that no one ever answered." And it's in a way, Gideon's doing the same thing, except someone did answer his prayer, and now he's keeping that going. But so I thought it was an interesting mirror of the two, and once she explained that to him, he understood, right? So it was one of those like, okay, I got you. Do
you think there was anything in Gideon that didn't put that together at first because those people were not necessarily human?
I didn't think that at all.
No. Okay.
The way I saw it was he was just upset because he felt that she had jeopardized the mission. And then later on, when they went to share culture, essentially, she was like, "No, I was a slave. My family sold me, and I prayed for release." She told her whole story, and then he was like, "Oh, okay." There wasn't like an outpouring of, "Oh, that's great, you did it." But with this added context here of this, I can almost imagine in that moment just the emotional connection that happened for him in that moment.
See, because I get the feeling, and this is completely me projecting onto Gideon, I get the feeling Gideon has not had a whole lot of interactions with non-humans out there. So by him being out there interacting with Darina, interacting with some of these other folks, he's totally open to it. I'm not saying he's a bigot. I'm not saying he's any of those things. I'm just saying I feel like he's just not had those sorts of interactions. So there are things that he thinks of as a human when he's like, "That's a distress beacon. That's a human. I'm going to go. That's one of our own people. That's an Earth Force person. I'm going to get that person." He doesn't immediately think of that same situation when it comes to aliens necessarily. And there's a bit of the show of him, like, because he's open to it and he's not just shutting it down, he's able to learn and expand, take the awesome guy that he is and be like, "Oh yeah, it turns out it works for all these people too." So I don't know. I just kind of get that vibe from Gideon that a lot of what he is doing is that his horizons are being expanded through the course of the show.
Yeah, I think he's had a ton of exposure to non-human races, but I don't think he's had a lot of relationships. He's known for having more first contacts than anyone else.
Fair.
So he's out there, he's meeting them, he's doing stuff, but it's meet, shake hands, move on. Meet, shake hands, move on. In fact, it makes me think of, and I'm wildly ignorant to the work, but it makes me think of missionary work that happens. Not missionary work where they go in and embed and live with them forever, but the whole like, "Hey, over summer break, I went on, on a mission and we built a house."
Yeah.
They go and experience another culture, kind of, experience it, hopefully help out a little bit and head home. They're not really developing relationships. Yeah. And like we see that in how, people then embrace other cultures and things like that, as opposed to the people who form relationships.
Yeah.
With there. And I don't think Gideon you're right. I don't think he's had a lot of relationship with non. And why would he? He's been on an Earth Force, thing his whole life.
Right. And the interesting thing is, to your point, while I 100% agree with you, like people that go do that, I do have some experience with that, both personally and secondhand. And I know typically when people come back, they tend to always have a personal connection to the culture that they did that for, like a personal affinity, but not necessarily an identification with it or an understanding of it. And there may even be that one person they really connected with over the 2 weeks or the 3 weeks or whatever that they were there, and they really love that person. Maybe they exchange some emails every once in a while, but that's about the limit. But there is still that love and that affinity for that, but it's not the actual relationship where we're affecting each other's lives on a day-to-day basis, Usually.
Yeah, it's enough. Like in Gideon's case, it keeps him open to the whole thing. I'm not necessarily comfortable. This isn't. I'm not fluent in this kind of interaction.
Right.
But hey, I'll give it a go.
There you go. I like it.
Yeah, that's a good theory.
I had a question. More of a curiosity. I want to know what emblem Lockley has on the top of her Starfury.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't quite make it out.
Because Ivanova has a phoenix, right?
A griffin.
A griffin, that's what it is. Ivanova has a griffin. Bester had a black omega on his. Sheridan had probably had, I don't know, a lion or something. I don't know.
I can't remember all of them.
It'll be in the comments somewhere at some point. I know. But what is Lockley's? I'd be real curious, and why?
Yeah, I couldn't quite tell.
Significance? Yeah,
had it a little bit on her helmet, had it on the top, but I couldn't quite make out what it was. I have a theory though that we're not going to see Lockley again. Like this was our one shot. They were going to put her in the other 9 episodes that never got made.
Right.
So we'll never get the answer to that
You're
question.
probably not wrong.
I know, it's awful. I want so badly, though. I want... You made the point that if this was the last episode that someone watched, I agree that it would be satisfying. Hey, we know something about the virus. Gideon just found love, even if it's just for a few minutes. And they're going to go off and do stuff. Like, is a nice little bow that was tied on everything. And the fact they brought Dr. Franklin on in the way that they did, I think it's really important the way he came on. They devised that whole thing of making the life ship blow up, him floating around, like the whole setup
Sterilize
of
the outside of it. They had to put him into his own little containment unit before he could come out, which by the way, I missed that on my first watch. And I was looking for it on the second watch, and I realized how I missed it on the first watch. Like while it was very clear that he was on the other side of glass from the people that were in the bay, it wasn't that clear.
Yeah.
Like if you missed that's where he was, you just think they were just a few feet away. And
there were a couple things in this episode that were like that. Like,
yeah,
I was under the impression on my first viewing that they went to Earth, they got Franklin, and then we're doing all the experiments. And then when they're like, oh, the Drock are coming, and where is everybody? I'm like, you're on Earth. Like, isn't there a planetary defense thing? Like, why aren't you at Earth?
Why isn't there a planetary defense thing, Jeff?
Well, because they weren't. Well, because that blew itself up.
There you
but
go.
Also because they weren't at Earth because they needed to go somewhere else to do the stuff for reasons. I didn't quite understand the reasons, but yeah, for Franklin to come in that whole quarantine thing, and he had that Franklin confidence, right?
Yeah.
Border that on Babylon 5 after his turn,
his walkabout,
it would border on the arrogance that we saw before, but never crossed. That wasn't present here. And I felt like there's this whole story of Dr. Franklin, xenobiologist, and then xenobiologist post-Drock plague. This is a guy who has been handed a lot of defeat, a lot of failure. At the end of the episode, he and Gideon are talking, and he's like, Gideon asked him, do we have a chance to beat this thing? Old Franklin would have been like, yeah, you got me working on this thing. We'll totally beat it. But this Franklin, like his shoulders fell down. His voice got a little dejected, and he's like, I don't know. And it was just, for me, having Franklin from his arc into Babylon 5 into this, the way they handled him into this, and then tying it off on that was the heaviest moment of the whole episode for me. Even bigger than his big Geordie leap.
That certainly wasn't heavy. That was just...
Yeah, he probably enjoyed it, though. It was probably fun.
So I have a question that kind of crossed my mind. How much do you think has impacted Dr. Franklin now from his experience with the Great Egg people? That wonderful episode.
Yeah, Believers.
Oh my God. What, like episode 7 from season 1 or something like that? But seriously, like think about it. Here he is making sure that everyone is on board, making sure that he comes out and he tells them like, no, they, meaning Gideon and the crew, they need to know what's going on, and they have to agree as well, or I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
Not just Gideon, not just David Williams, not just him, no, they need to know. And we're going to, and you didn't tell them, fine, I'll tell them right now, because this is not going to be some underhanded back room. I'm going to keep the kid alive and do something I really shouldn't be doing because I'm morally right. It's no. This is all above board, and everybody's got to know, and everybody's on this. And I feel like that is a huge growth from where we saw him in Believers.
That's incredible insight. Like, to piece that together, that's beautiful. And I think back to us talking about Believers, and that last scene with Sinclair and Franklin sitting there where Franklin's like, yeah, so, and I was like, Sinclair should have fired him on the spot.
Yeah.
But look at us now. Like, had he done that, which might have been the right thing in that moment, right? We can still debate that. We wouldn't have Dr. Franklin here on the Excalibur doing this work. Like, he might be the thing that saves Earth. And ultimately, it's because Sinclair was derelict in his duty and didn't fire him for letting that kid die.
Well, here's the one thing we do know. Franklin does save Earth, or somebody saves Earth, because we know what happens 20 years, well, now 15 years down the line. So, and Franklin's there. So
yeah, and everybody's good.
Yeah.
So it works out well. Some of the stuff he brought to this, talking about the virus itself, so before they made the discovery that it was nanotechnology, he was kind of talking about the life cycle of it so far. And so what it's been doing on Earth is going through and mutating itself into immediately fatal diseases, Ebola, a rare strain of hepatitis B, trying to figure out, the right thing to kill everybody. But I just couldn't help thinking, though, I'm like, wouldn't unchecked Ebola kill everybody? Like, why does it need 5 years to figure this thing out? Like,
so out of all of that, I think the biggest thing that I picked up from that whole conversation is 5 years is just an upper estimate. The virus could hit on the right mutation or the right combination of mutations by year 2. Like, they keep saying it's 5 years, which is convenient for storytelling purposes. But from what they say, it really sounds like that virus is like, it could lock in at any moment. There is an urgency here to get this done because it's 5 years at best. Could be best.
Yeah, I kind of got that. At one point, I think that I heard something about in 5 years, it might not even matter. There may be almost none of us left at that point.
Can't even call us humanity anymore.
Was the line. It just, to me, again, like, it created stakes for down the road.
Yeah.
This is a good mid-season closer, which is what this kind of would have been, right? But in a way, this could also become the geometry of shadows for the Plague storyline in Crusade, where in and of itself, it's like, okay, like, there was some neat stuff, whatever. And then when you look back on it, you're like, oh my gosh, all these things they said meant so much. Especially
Jeff, listen, here's your problem with this episode. You don't understand foreshadowing when you see it.
Yeah, I don't understand foreshadowing for what I haven't seen yet. You're right.
I do. What's wrong with you?
I know. How can I not
haven't seen it either.
But I see more of it in this one, right? Like, all the things I'm bringing up, I loved. I'm just taking that execution of it and setting it over here.
Jeff, I completely agree with you, and it's what I said in kind of my opening statement. Of there were so many times in this episode, multiple times, where I was like, I'm so sad we're not going to get to see the end of this story, because what they're doing right now is what they're setting up, what they're putting into play, is so good, and I really want to see where this goes.
Yeah, it sucks that this thing got closed out.
So let's talk about the virus. Can we talk about the virus itself, like what we learned while we're in this phase? And Jeff, I just want to acknowledge you have read the Legions of Fire trilogy.
Yes.
And if I understand you correctly, within that story, spoiler alert, you learn a lot more about the origins of the plague and how it's designed and who it was actually designed for and where they came from. But in this episode, we learned that the virus is actually a nanotech virus. It targets and it directs itself, and it uses a hive mind, and it assimilates into things to bring what Jeff, I don't know about you, but to me, this virus is the Borg of the Babylon 5 universe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It knows exactly what it's going for. It's not necessarily like the message of this episode, right? When Gideon said, "Do you think we have a chance to beat this thing?" The correct answer would be resistance is futile. Here it comes. I loved this idea though. And the way they played it out again, the writing here was beautiful. It turns out it's nanotech. Hey, we found a nanotech thing that we've been able to use as a temporary vaccine against this. Yes, but this is much more sophisticated, not even in the same level.
Right.
So it's like, so I love that just kind of piece there. But the other piece I love was this one we found needs a central core, a computer controlling it. This one doesn't, which is what creates that hive mind thing.
Right.
It's so like at this
Unless it does, and we just don't know.
Just don't know it. Yeah, it could have dropped it somewhere on Earth or something. That'd be a good way to test it. Take someone from Earth just away and just, do you get better? Oh, nope. Okay, must be controlling itself.
How often have we seen that on Stargate? Like, hey, you're here. As long as we take you over there, then you're good.
Everything's fine. Just don't go look at the light. Just don't look at those and you'll be okay.
Right. Just don't go to sleep. Just stay awake all night. You'll be fine.
It really will be good. But it was just, I don't know. I love the idea of it being nanotech. I love the idea of it being this hive mind. I like the idea of it being so hyper intelligent and linked with a singular cause of the eradication of the human race. I mean, that's horrifying.
It's far more insidious than a virus that's going to take 5 years to do its work, to adjust and mutate and do what it needs to do in order to take people out. It is far more insidious, far more scary to have it be something that is directed, that is intelligent, that is directing itself, and works as a hive mind around the world.
And to know that they've deployed this in the past, right? 1,000 years ago, it was deployed on that other race. And knowing what I know from Legions of Fire, I didn't know it was nanotech from that, but I know that they're able to customize it to where it's going to, because they were going to first deploy it on Minbar. Yeah. So they had set up, hey, here's the thing to just wipe out Minbari. It's got to figure it out for humans. But they did that for that race 1,000 years ago. And it's just, I mean, in a way, it's almost like, why did they take the time to blow planets up? And they could have just flown through and knocked everybody out this way, or set the same question, right? Because the question was, do we do things through, competition and, fighting, or do we do things through collaboration and help?
Right.
Drop a virus down and see how a culture takes over. Because what's happening on Earth right now is not collaboration, right? They got the death cults going, a lot of bad stuff on Earth. This would have been a good Shadow versus Vorlon, kind of microcosm as well, just with the virus. I want to talk about the Drock.
Yeah.
What was the deal? Like, where'd they come from? Why were they listening to their, my question was, have they been tracking the Excalibur and they're trying to stop it on its mission? Why do they care that there's a ship coming up from Earth and they want to go? Wouldn't they want that to happen? It might spread the disease somewhere else.
I think that the Drock are monitoring Earth anyway. They're monitoring Earth. They weren't monitoring the Excalibur. They're monitoring Earth. They're keeping an eye on what's going on over the next bunch of years.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they get this transmission going from the Excalibur down to Earth, and somehow they decipher through David's words what they're trying to do, and now the Drock are like, oh crap, if they do this, and this is going to lead them to figuring it out, which also I think begs the question, how foolproof is this virus?
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, is there a weak spot of the virus and they're aware of it? They're not bluffing because it's actually doing its job, but they also know it's beatable. It like playing poker and you've got a straight flush, but that royal flush is out there somewhere too.
Exactly. You've got the 6 high or something. And,
Or you've got quad 2s.
Mm-hmm.
That's a phenomenal hand. You're going to bet the house on quad 2s.
A lot of hands that can beat that.
You also know that there's a lot that can beat that too.
That makes sense. That would have been cool, I think, in that attack, because I mean, really, when you think about it, blowing up the Excalibur, what does that have to do with like cool, good for you? That's like, because they seemed like, oh, we're gonna go get you. It would have almost been cooler if they were like, hey, they're only targeting our systems that impact the med bay, in terms of like they were like trying to shut down all the quarantine stuff, so then like, we're gonna try and spread the plague even more. But they just felt like such a, we have time to kill, and the stakes aren't very high, and this is kind of boring, so let's have the Drock show up.
Well, from a writing standpoint, and I think if we could talk to JMS, there's a piece of, that's just part of writing. That's how you create dramatic tension, and that's how you make stuff happen to get your pew 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 scene in Act 5 that keeps the show exciting. We've seen this in every sci-fi show we've ever watched, Jeff.
It just felt so tacked on. Although, as I say that, it gave Lockley a chance to really shine, which was
Did
cool.
it though?
Yeah.
Did it though? Because
You
here's
don't
the
think so?
thing. No, I don't. I think she was rather wasted in this episode.
Really?
I loved seeing her there. Don't get me wrong. I loved seeing her there. But I think she was rather wasted. We have no idea what she was doing out there floating around. She said something. It didn't really matter.
Raiders. Yeah, they're taking out Raiders.
Again, she said something. It didn't really matter to what we're doing here. You know, she's out there floating around. They bring her in. She's on life support, or not life support, but she's got to get on the mend. And the next thing we know, it's, I'm in a uniform. I've got experience. Let me go do it. And then she goes out there and suddenly everybody's under her command and they're listening and she knows exactly what's going on. And there's a little pew 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 here. Like, we just see her, you guys go take care of that and everybody else on me. And then they fly off. And that's all we really get until Gideon goes, man, we're going to go do this thing. And I hope Lockley figures it out. And then she suddenly turns around and goes, hey, everybody stay close to the ship. Let's go. It's like, that whole sequence, I was just like, because how did Lockley know what was going on?
Because
Like,
she's a battle strategist as well.
With the Excalibur needed to like flash a light at her or something, get her attention to be like, hey, draw it over here. Like, there needed to be something. That wasn't just I hope she can figure it out. And I'm sorry, that particular part to me, Jeff, I cringe to say this just in case JMS is ever listening to this. It felt like lazy writing. It felt like lazy writing because there's no way she would have looked at him and gone, what is he doing? I mean, even if we get like she's flying around and she looks over and sees the ship going and goes, what is he? Everybody stay close to the, like, we didn't get that. It's just, here we go to her. Everybody stay close to the ship. And I'm like, really? Come on now. Like,
That's fair.
Like, what, you know,
What I liked about it was in the, I hesitate to call it the romance story between the two, because I don't know that romance is going to be very involved in their relationship. And that's fine, right? But in their burgeoning situationship,
yeah.
I thought that was a great moment to put them on an even playing field, right? Like, they're both captains. They've both been in Earth Force a long time, and they're both incredible strategists. Like, they can both get out there and do exactly what needs to be done.
Neither is under the other's command.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. We're separate. We're distinct. And when we do come together, we're just two equals, two consenting equals coming up and doing our stuff.
Jeff,
with
that's
the
a
Pomeroy suit. It's like, hey, have you seen one of these before?
Hey, I got this video. It showed me.
I am so excited though, and that when it ended and he was just like that smile on Gideon's face.
Yeah. He's like, hey, can I take you out for coffee? And she's like, yeah, you can. Come
You
on, big
can.
boy. Hey, I got a question though. They take her back to Babylon 5 at the end. How good was it to see the station out the window? Don't you, Jeff?
It looked like a toy. It looked like a Matchbox version of Babylon 5. Like, not even CG. It's like they literally did a Matchbox thing, hung it on fishing wire, and let it dangle in front of the screen.
Folks, I have some bad news. Unfortunately, Jeff has disconnected from the call, and I don't know that we're ever going to be able to get him back. So this may be a solo show here from now on. Every episode going forward. New applications for a co-host are being taken. You can email those to Brent at Babylon 5 for the first time at something.com. So Oh wait, no, there he is.
Oh, hi. Hey, I
you're
got my
back.
application in. Are we going to be fine?
You're back.
It was amazing to see it. I hated the image of it. I hated the image.
Okay.
Like my initial thought was like, well, that looks cheap, but it's good to see. Like they should have had it at the angle that we know it at. It was just this flat, like, and the color was different.
But it was way out. It was way had to be small because it was way out there. They weren't like that close to it. It's just
could
sort
have
of
got
there in the
close.
window.
There was no
They
reason.
could have. It was fine. They they ran out of budget. They couldn't make it. That's as big as they could make it for the budget.
They're like, I got $18. What can we get for $18?
They went and got the thing out of the toy. The the one that Sheridan wings around his head.
Yep.
Put that in there.
They had that in the not anatomically correct Londo.
Right. So I was questioning. So this is 5 years after the close of Babylon 5.
Mm-hmm.
With Lockley being in this show, is she still the captain of Babylon 5? Now they took her back to Babylon 5. They dropped her off at Babylon 5, but I don't think they ever truly said like she is the commander of Babylon 5. Because we know at some point she moves on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Like Jeff Conway,
Zach.
Kanicki. What's his name? Zach. Zach tells us that in Sleeping in Light, right? Like that Lockley eventually moved on. So I think we can assume she's still the captain there at this point in time, but
yeah, I think considering they took her there, she said she was out on patrol from Babylon 5, and then they said, Gideon said, we're going to go back to Babylon 5 to see her.
Yeah. Well, she clearly lives there still, you know. But
she's just a part-time Starfury pilot.
Yeah.
Now in her old age, apparently. Like,
yeah. I just want to say I would be a full on board fan of Gidley.
Yes, Gidley.
Or Lockleyan.
Lockleyan. There you go. I'm a Lockleyan.
Yeah.
I'm a Lockleyan.
There you go.
There's our t-shirt. I'm a Lockleyan.
Locklydian.
And I'll tell you what, I am not, people know as well, I am not a fan of characters hooking up in TV shows. This one makes sense this is perfect.
But they also, you know what I really appreciated was they slow rolled this. This isn't like all of a sudden Gideon and Lockley are sleeping together after meeting for 45 minutes.
Right.
Like
the game is afoot.
Exactly. That you're going to slow roll it. You're going to earn it. And you know what? That is something JMS does better than almost anyone else out there. Yeah. The things that happen in his show almost always earn it.
That's like we talked about Delenn and Sheridan, where
earned it.
When it was starting, I was like, no, but the way he played it out and took like over a season and a half almost for it's just like, yes, this is how it's done. Mm-hmm. This is how you get Jeff on board with people hooking up, because apparently he's not okay with that.
It is the litmus test for every good writer out there.
Making them earn what they get.
No. How do you get Jeff on board?
Absolutely.
That's the question. They have bracelets. HDYG Jeff J. Obi.
We're just adding to our merch stock that we've never put together here. I'll never see the light of day.
We got a few things. There's a couple shirts out there.
There are somewhere. It's good stuff. But yeah, I think though, Brent, we're at the point of this conversation where you get to rip this thing apart, tear it to shreds, find out what messages are buried within it, what it's trying to tell us. Is it holding a mirror up to society? Does this one tell us we could be better people? Brent, what messages did you find in this episode?
Well, there's two main ones that I really want to talk about. The first one, I want to go with what Dr. Chambers said. Where Franklin's talking about, it's funny, we got all this stuff going on, but yet people are still getting married and people are still having babies. And she says, getting married and having babies is a way of saying that life goes on, even if it won't. Yes. Maybe that's the time you need to believe in it the most so that you remember what you're fighting for. Jeff, last Christmas, I lost my father. You gave
me your heart? Oh, sorry. I was making a joke and you're saying something very serious.
Don't you get that song in my head. No, but last Christmas, I lost my father. And he is buried at the National Cemetery here in this town. And we got a message kind of back somewhere towards the middle to end of summer that the headstone had finally been placed. Well, today we finally got to go out for the first time. We were trying to figure out like what occasion to go and all that kind of stuff. But today, as we record this, my family and I, we got to go visit and you know, kind of pay respects and just see, you know, that sort of stuff. But while I was there, you know, my mom had just made the comment, like, can you believe it's been a year? You know, we were just kind of noting like some of the changes that have happened in life since then. And I remember saying that line, you know, life goes on. And that's the way it should be. That's the way he wants it. Life just goes on. And there is a thing. I love the idea that even when facing doom, you know, maybe even dare I say certain doom, with little hope of survival, there's the things that make us human, the things that set us apart, the things that give us reason for living. Those things still have to continue, because what else are we fighting for if not those things? You know, talking about hope that things can be better in the future. You do that because you have hope that things are going to get better. You know, it may not work out, but I hope it does. And I have hope that it will. So that's the first one I get, is life must go on. And in doing so, what that looks like is doing the things that really still matter. Doing those things that would defy doom, you know? I love that. The second one was actually pointed out by our friend Robert over on Patreon. Oh. And I thought, yes, you're right. But he says this, he said, and I'm going to quote from his comment on Patreon. He says, the discussions you've had recently about the needs of the many come up here. They needed someone to get the virus so they could monitor it. David volunteered. He's willing to make the sacrifice. And you know, Robert's absolutely right. This is a good conversation here, talking about how the needs of the many versus the needs of the one. And I said a long time ago, Jeff, many episodes ago, I feel like this is a theme that we're going to see come up again and again and again. And in this situation, this is an example of where the needs of the many and the needs of the one align.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They align. They come into harmony. And as much as people are like, yeah, but you can't go do that. You're sacrificing. You've got to stay. And he's like, no. Look, I would rather spend 5 years with her than the rest of my life without her. And while that may sound a little cheesy, that may sound, you know what? I got to be honest. If in that same situation, I think I would feel the same way. I really do. I would rather spend 5 years with my wife, with the love of my life, than a whole lifetime without her. If that's what it took to go be there with her, yeah, I'm in. You know, we'll do this together. We'll either survive or we won't, but I'm not going to let this stop us from being together. You know, Jeff, we just came out of COVID a couple years ago.
A while ago.
Yeah, a while ago. But there's still, one of the things that I heard refrained again and again and again when people were talking about whether or not we should social distance, whether or not we should send kids to school. I don't know what the conversations were like in your part of the country, but down here in the South, and this is a prevailing attitude that we have down here in the South, is like, look, if I catch it, I catch it. If I go in the hospital, I go in the hospital. If I die, I die. But it's not going to stop me from living my life. There's a whole lot in that. Please, people, don't be emailing us or writing into us, okay? I'm just saying that is a prevailing attitude, at least here where I am in this part of the country. And in this case, I happen to agree with that particular attitude. You know, also the attitude of, look, you never know what could happen. I could die tomorrow. There's nothing to say that I'm going to live beyond this 5 years anyway.
Right.
So you're going to get it. We're going to go do this. You guys do your thing. And if it works out, it works out. Awesome. If it doesn't, I'm going to enjoy my next 5 years. You know, I loved that piece for him. I loved the fact that Gideon had to go verify it. I love the fact that even though we didn't see it, you know, Franklin and Williams had to have had a conversation at some point.
Yeah.
Saying, hey, are you really sure you want to do this?
Yeah, Franklin wouldn't just be like, oh, you said okay? Okay. In fact, Franklin even had conditions, right? When Foghorn Leghorn was saying his stuff, and he's like, this was the deal. Yeah. But all of that being said, I think what that really comes down to then
And Jeff, we're gonna wade into some weird territory here right now.
Okay.
So stay with me. This may, I don't know if this gets a trigger warning. I don't know if this could possibly trigger anybody. I'll admit my own ignorance here. So we're going to talk about death here for a little bit and the willingness to die. If that's a trigger warning for you, why don't you skip forward a couple, 2, 3, 4 minutes? I think that this situation brings up a good case for a person's choice of how to end their life.
Wow, you're going there.
It's there. He has, true or false, David Williams has the right to allow himself to be infected with the plague so he can go back to Earth.
I say true.
I do too. I do.
As long as, and this is what they did, he gets it in a way that doesn't put anyone else in any danger.
Exactly. As long as it's himself taking on the whole deal. And he knows exactly what's going on. He knows exactly what the risks are. He knows exactly what the consequences are going to be. And he says, yes, I want that anyway. To be able to say effectively, I want my life to end. And that's taking it like 3 or 4 steps further than what it actually was for him in that spot. But effectively, that's really what he's saying.
That's the choice. The choice is.
Yeah, his choice was, I can live without her, or I can die with her. And he chose to die with her. And I do think that there is a real good case for, if we use the technical term euthanasia, a person's choice to end their life. And I don't think that's a choice that should be, it shouldn't be taken lightly. Oh, you know what it is? You know what this means? Okay, we'll sign here on the dotted line. Let's go do it. It should never be that easy. Just like we saw, it wasn't that easy in this case. Who knows what conversations we had with David Williams prior to this episode happening?
It went to the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Like, this went to very high levels.
Yeah, exactly. But also, Gideon had to go and double check and be like, yo, are you really sure? Not only did he just have to say, yes, I'm sure, I know what I'm doing, let's go do it. And Gideon's like, okay, well, I guess if you know. He also was like, you almost have to convince me to let this happen. Because it just makes sense at this case. But I think that this really speaks a lot to those cases of a person's right to choose.
Yeah. I'm a Catholic, right? And so a phrase we often use as Catholics is we honor all life from conception to natural death. And that's hard, right? There's a lot packed into that. And for a long time, I was young, I was naive, I didn't have a lot of life experience. I'm like, yeah, that makes total sense. Like, absolutely. Why would I not do that? And then back 12 and a half years ago, from the time we were recording this, I had a dog that I loved more than anything in the world. She had cancer, and I signed a purple piece of paper, and 30 seconds later, she was gone, right? Like, I got to talk to her, I got to hug her. It was beautiful. It was awful. It was one of the hardest things I ever did. But the medical staff at the university I was at, applauding me, hugging me, friends, family, coworkers, you did the right thing. That was hard to do, and you're a hero for doing that. Now, if I went and did that to Grandpa, I go to jail.
Yeah.
Why is it different? Why can I do that for an animal, have mercy, right, and compassion, but I can't do it for someone that's literally, I know I had this with my grandfather. Others may have had it as well, of just, I'm just ready to die. Yeah. I'm just sitting here, or laying here in my grandpa's case, waiting for it to stop. Yeah. And he was miserable. But then you add to the piece that if you could make that choice and potentially save 10 billion people by making the choice, that adds, that's the sci-fi element to this. But no, it's a complicated question.
Well, and if I may dive back into that, I already mentioned my dad. His case was he unexpectedly got an infection. And that infection quickly spread, went throughout his body. And there came a spot where there was no hope. Like, it was done. He is not going to recover from this. And so when we had to make that decision as a family, ultimately my mother was the one who had to make that call, but we kind of made it together as a family. of we're going to withdraw care and just kind of let nature take its course here.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, well, how long? Like, we're here. This is done. Like, the decision's made. He does not, he does not want this to happen any more than we do. So, in fact, probably less so than we do. So now we just have to sit and wait. And thankfully it was, I don't know that it was 48 hours.
Yeah.
Certainly not 72. When everything, by the time all of that happened, but still, like, can you imagine people that have to wait much longer? Yeah.
Years sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes, and that's without interventional help. Like,
yeah.
Jeez. So anyway, those are the messages I got, Jeff. I'm really glad that I don't have to put a thing to it, though, to define it.
Right.
But Jeff, you do have to put something to this and help define it. You have to rank this one. We're creating the 100% completely accurate and definitive ranking of Crusade. I'm interested to see if this episode number 8 is going to crack our top 5. Our top 5 currently, number 5 is Visitors from Down the Street. Number 4 is Appearances and Other Deceits. 3, Warzone. 2, The Needs of Earth. And 1, The Long Road. Jeff, where do you place this particular episode? Each Night I Dream of Home.
Well, I don't really want to do this.
Of course you don't, but you're going to because it's the right decision.
It's the right thing to do, and I'm a professional. I'll show up and do it. And the thing is, this is why I don't want to do it, is because I did not like this episode.
No,
I did not like it. And it's not because of the writing. It's not because of the concepts, the idea. It's because of its execution. The directing and the acting and the soundtrack and some of the pacing and some, it just was not good.
Mm-hmm.
That said, I can also see the geometry of shadowsness of this episode in the arc of Crusade. I can also see it as the series finale. So I have a lot of competing things going on here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to split the difference between hating it and it being great. And Brent, I'm going to make this one our new number 5.
Wow. Okay.
So for all of those people who think that we just rank things because, like, well, it's not what I predicted it was, or because I have a personal no, we're professionals. I'm able to weigh the stuff and place it appropriately. So there it is, number 5.
All right, Jeff, the professional.
Consummate professional. Well, Brent, that does it for Each Night I Dream of Home. Next time.
What was that?
Yeah, next time. Next week, we're going to be watching The Path of Sorrows for the first time. We love to play this game where I say the name of the episode. We guess what it's going to be about based on the title alone. So, Brent, what do you think The Path of Sorrows is going to be about?
So, the only thing I'm coming to, Jeff, is it's an episode of Stargate that we did that's actually releasing right around the same time as this particular, as we do this particular episode. So maybe that's why it's fresh in my mind, but it's an episode where the crew get like caught in like some sort of a web. They get caught in a circle, a game, so to speak, fair or otherwise. And they have to like relive some sorrowful moment of their life. Daniel kept reliving the death of his parents, and Jack had to relive a mission that had gone wrong and lost a lot of his men and stuff like that. So that's the only thing that comes to mind when I think of sorrow, like it for whatever reason, it's calling that up, that reliving past moments. I have no idea. Yeah, that's it. That's, I don't know. That's all I got.
It's going to be
top of mind. Path of Sorrows.
I'm laughing because I have almost the exact same.
Are you serious?
Prediction. Yeah. Mine is they're going to end up on a planet. It has a thing that will lead them, to the key or whatever. But to get there, they have to follow a path. And on that path, they're going to face their
there it
personal
is.
demons and their sorrows.
There it is. Yep, that's it. Yep.
And I didn't make the Stargate connection, but I made the Never-Ending Story connection.
Oh.
Like, and there's the second gate where you have to
Yeah.
face the real you, and most people
Yeah.
run away screaming, but Atreyu had what it took to walk through.
There you go.
So that's what I think it's going to be about. So once again, our Venn diagram of predictions are pretty close to a circle.
It's almost like we've done this together a few times, Jeff.
Once or twice. I guess a couple of times, but we're going to find out what Path of Sorrows is all about next week. Thanks, everybody, for joining us for our conversation. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, wherever you're getting your podcasts, your videos, or whatever. Leave us a rating and a review. Do all that kind of stuff. And if you really want to help us out, the best and most meaningful thing you can do is share this podcast, share this channel, this video with someone who loves Crusade, loves Babylon 5, or needs to see it for the first time, just like us. So until next time.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, question real quick. What's the plan for all that extra footage we got?
Yeah, I can't tell you.
Okay. Then when are we going to do something with it?
I can't tell you that either.
Okay, well, what can you tell me?
Never eat anything bigger than your head. Never shoot pool at a place called Pop's. Never eat at a place called Mom's. Speaking of, you want to get something to eat?
It depends. Are they serving anything bigger than my head?
Where are you going? I don't know.
I love
Mom's.
that scene. Right, exactly. I would totally eat at a place called Mom's.
Absolutely.
Get a
Dude,
good greasy
those
spoon.
dive places are like the best, man.
Yeah. We got a place here in town. Almost took you there when you were out, but it's just dive. Well, we went to one of the dive bars. that
I was going to say,
love.
you did take me to a dive bar. We literally had to go down into a thing to get to.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it was a great breakfast, though. It's so good. There's no, it's a little nicer. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's necessarily nicer, but the breakfast is a little step up from it. That place is good.
So this is our Club 65. This is our new Club 65.
It is
New
kind
way
of a
we do
new
Club
thing,
65.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, because our council chambers folks are joining us now, and they've been commenting the whole time through. Kind of working backwards just a smidge. Nia has a prediction, Jeff. Nia predicts that Jeff is going to like Path of Sorrows more than me.
Ooh, okay.
And I also need to know what the context of this is, guys, because
I think we're both. Yeah, I saw that one too. It's like,
the answer here is no.
the question is, wait, are we shipping Jeff and Brent now? No.
I love you, Jeff.
Yeah,
I love you.
much
I
love.
really do. But not in that way.
Oh my gosh, they're naming us.
Guys, stop it. Stop
Gent.
it.
We're just a couple of gents.
Breath.
Breath, I like that. Breakfast. I'll go for some of that.
All right, let's see what you guys had to say about this this episode. Let's see here.
Yeah, I know. This is fun watching Jeff and Brent read through this kind of stuff.
Watching Jeff and Brent scroll on something I can't see.
Let's see. There's a whole conversation about Zathras, which is pretty great. Oh, we're talking about names of people at one point, and I won't say this person's name just because there's some personally identifying information, but they said their son's name is Riker.
There we go.
So it's not uncommon to pull that in.
Yeah, Fabio says, I think Brent's mic is a tad louder than usual. Am I getting crazy? I don't know, Jeff, are you? Because this is a different mic than I've ever used before and a whole different setup.
Just like I said, a very different frequency response than on your other one. I definitely, there's a comment earlier in here of like, hey, please make sure that people know that we're recording this on Sunday. We're literally waiting to like the last possible minute to record this. And as we're recording, I'm just like, I have to, none of my template stuff is going to work for you. I'm going to have to actually go in. And
Is
like,
it really? Why not?
It's a whole different frequency response.
Oh,
So
because
have
of
to
the
run.
sound. Which is really weird because this microphone is just the little brother of my other microphone.
Mm-hmm. But I think between it being a little different, and then you're going through a different interface. I think that's the big piece.
The room is very different here too.
Yeah.
You know, I'm slapped back off the walls because I'm facing a wall, whereas usually I'm facing an open room.
Yeah, it's not bad by any means, but it's just going to be a different
It's just
approach.
different. It's just different. You gotta.
Hey, here's somebody that I appreciate so much. Becky says, I'm Team Jeff here. I love the ideas in this episode. I would have loved to see where they could have expanded the ideas later, but Senator Leghorn and that Joe Schmo dude's performances killed it for me. Becky, we're good people. We got this.
Becky's good people. Becky's definitely good people.
Becky is, right?
Also, I like this one. Jeff just hates doctors.
On this show, yeah. Maybe it's a first season thing. Let me think about that, actually. Are there any... I like Dr. Mabenga. His first season. I liked him in that. That might be the only doctor I liked in the first season.
Yeah.
McCoy. That's a very different
all right, Jeff.
thing.
Senator Tex-Mex was played by Lance DeGault. We knew him from TNG, the episode The Emissary, where he played Captain Kanuck.
Really?
You could pull any... I have no recollection of this particular character at all.
I don't either.
Isn't The Emissary... This is the episode where we meet Worf's baby mama.
Maybe.
I'm almost positive. This is the episode where Worf knocks up old chick. And so Captain Katemek must have been a Klingon. I could see this guy being a Klingon.
I could see that. Just take a little of that twang off.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm digging from Fabio.
Yeah.
Council Poker Night when?
Ooh.
A little deep dive into our poker stuff. And
that idea has merit.
It really does.
How would we do that in council chambers? Like, how do you deal?
Well, they'd probably get there's an internet
do a virtual
thing
deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, there you go.
That's about the oldest man way I could have possibly said that. Some internet thing. Oh, let's see. A lot of good stuff. This is awesome, people. If you want to be a part of this, just totally become a Council Chambers subscriber.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yeah.
Oh, I like this one from Fabio. It's very poetic. Episode got dark at the end, but hey, black holes can give birth to stars. Sometimes we need to experience dark in order to bring light to ourselves and our surroundings. That's pretty deep.
Fabio's going to join us in the next message section.
Right. Just let him do it.
Up on him.
Like, here you go.
Fabio, it's your job from here on out to assign...
Excaliburs?
Nope. It's too big of a ship.
Gideon motorcycles?
Yes. Speed racers.
Speed racers,
Speed racers. Here it is. Fabio gave us the answer to Lockley. She's taken over Keffer's old spot.
Oh, yes. Yes. Fun story about Keffer. Then we should probably wrap this up. But the other night, we're just coming off Halloween here. And Brent had some time to himself. And he texts me and says, hey, I got some time on my own. What should I watch that I can't watch with the kids around? Yeah. And I threw a couple things his way. My favorite go-to is the original Sleepaway Camp. But eventually I was like, oh, you should watch Nightmare on Elm Street 2. See Keffer.
Mm-hmm.
What did you end up watching?
By the way, I wound up watching Sleepy Hollow.
Oh, yeah. The Johnny Depp.
And,
Christina Ricci.
Great Halloween movie. You know, it's not a gore slasher, but it does have a lot of that in it. Good Halloween movie.
Yeah, that was a good. I haven't seen that in a long time. That was a good one.
Also, Fabio once again coming through. Don't ever say that name again. Talking about the ship stuff. Yeah. Don't.
Yeah. Also, just don't say it again. Whether it sounds dirty in Portuguese or not, just don't say it again.
Also, it will close on this one. Nia slams dunk the whole thing. Brent is correct.
Well, everybody's right. The broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah, that's how come you get it every once in a while.
True. How many Stargate episodes have I got? Like 2? So that's about right.
There you go. All right. Hey, listen, we're going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much. To those of you who joined us live, you're amazing. You're welcome.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. To the council chambers who didn't join us live, guys, you know what? Honestly, Jeff, you and I shotgun this thing so often.
I know.
You know what I mean? It's just how we can't do it any other way. Like
we had a couple hours notice on this one, at least.
We did. Yeah.
Better than sometimes.
Yeah. But if you can join us, guys, hey, listen, this is truly more the merrier. Build up this thing. I will say this. I had something I wanted to talk about in the show. It didn't come up with my notes. So I do want to say this because a lot of times we covered notes that we didn't get to. I loved the shot. Did you notice who directed this episode?
I did not.
Stephen First.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's
I
Stephen
feel
First.
bad because I was crapping on the directing.
But I loved the shot, the cinematography, where Franklin is talking to Gideon and Dr. Chambers, and it's a shot from over Dr. Franklin's shoulder, and we're seeing them through the glass, but in the reflection of the glass, right in between them, is Dr. Franklin, and we're catching all of his reactions to what they're saying. It was so good. It was so good. I loved that episode. I also love when Gideon goes, "I want these ships out of my sky." We've heard him say that at least twice now. Yeah. Like, my sky. I'm like, yeah.
And then Matheson.
Yes, you do.
Matheson, is that clear enough for you? Dude, they're so great together.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Well, I mean, you remember how awesome Ivanova and Sheridan were, and I mean even Garibaldi, like in particularly those early seasons before things got weird.
Yeah.
Like,
well, Sinclair and Ivanova and Garibaldi, we remember talking, they were like the Holy Trinity. They were the Kirk, Spock, McCoy of, kind of thing. They were great.
All right. And here's the final one that I have. I love in sci-fi, Jeff, because we see this all over the place. All right. When a person gives the computer an order, because everything is voice commanded in the future, like the computer can do everything a human can do.
Right.
Just as well. So I'm not sure why we have people doing anything.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure why we actually have people doing anything. But when the person gives the computer an order and the computer's like, alert, this isn't a good idea. Why does the human always feel the need to explain to the computer why it needs to happen anyway? Like, was it the correct response to be like, yes, I know, do it anyway?
Override.
Boom. Override. Like, I know they're doing it for us, but still, it really, like, she's dying and I just don't have the breath, but I'm going to explain that if you don't do it anyway, then I'm going to die. So whatever.
It's an exposition device. That's what it is.
Exposition device, he says. There you go. All right, let's get out of here, Jeff. Unless you had anything you wanted to.
Nothing else.
Reminder, Nia says, for council chambers, more for YouTube though. Please don't spoil things for Jeff and Brent. We will get there. Don't bring things up. Now is not the time. Yeah,
we're so close.
We're so close. I got to tell you, since finishing Sleeping in Light, the whole non-spoiler thing is kind of busted for me all the way around.
Yeah,
I appreciate it, but also I don't want to be spoiled to what's coming up.
Right. Yeah. Like, still like to keep it off, but also like I've started hanging out in the subreddit for Babylon 5 and looking at stuff. And I mean, no one's talking about Crusade on there, so it's fine.
Right.
But yeah, it's starting to open up the doors to the greater world out there.
There you go. So we don't know what the magic box is or who's talking in that magic box yet.
That's right. I forgot about John.
Exactly. All right, let's get out of here, Jeff. You guys are amazing. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you guys next time.
Have a good one. See you.